Today we are sewing the Donna Pant. The first thing we're going to do is identify all of our pattern pieces. To start, we have our scrap piece for testing stitch, knuckle pocket labeled number 5, palm pocket labeled number 6, our front waistband, this is labeled number 3, one piece hammer loop labeled number 10, the cuff labeled number 8, thigh pocket labeled number 7, the knee pad labeled number 9, one piece back waistband, this is labeled number 4, and lastly we have our back pant panel. You can tell this is the back because it has a deeper crotch, and this is labeled number 2. And then our front pant panels, they have these drill holes to mark where the pocket will go, a shallower crotch, and this is labeled number 1. To begin, load the machine with the given thread and make sure to test your stitch tension. To make this pant, the seam allowance will always be 3/8, and when possible, you may serge. If not, that's fine too. Our first step is to take out the pant panels labeled number 1. We're going to separate these and lay them right side up, so sticker sides down. Next, take your knuckle side of the pocket. It is labeled number 5. You can see it has a slanted edge here. And we're going to line it up with the slant on the pant. And we're going to lay them right sides together. Once you have lined this up, you're going to stitch down the slanted side at 3/8. Repeat this on both sides of the pant. Once attached, this is what it will look like. Our next step is to understitch. Lay the pant panel flat and flip the pocket bag toward the outside. From here, we're going to press our seam toward the pocket bag and stitch right on top, securing that serge or the seam that you just previously did. From the right side of the fabric, make sure you are stitching down that seam allowance. Once complete, this is what it will look like. Repeat this on both pocket bags. Now that our knuckle side pocket is attached, we are going to attach the palm pocket. Take these pieces that you just sewn together and lay them wrong side up, so sticker side up. From here, fold the pocket toward the pant so that the pocket is right side up. We are going to lay the palm side of the pocket, this is labeled number 6, right sides together with the knuckle side of the pocket. Sewing only this rounded edge, go around and serge or sew at 3/8. Once your pocket bags are sewn together, this is what it'll look like. So the side seam is not sewn together yet, and neither is the waistband, just around to attach them. The next thing we're going to do is baste the pocket to the waistband of the pant. So you're going to find that notch and line it up where that sort of pocket meets pants ends. And you're just going to baste across the 3 layers so it stays in place. Repeat this on both sides of the pant. So once that's done, your pocket bag should be attached at the waist together, but not at the side seams here. That will get closed when we close the side seam with the back pant panel. The next step is to sew the hammer loop. This is the piece labeled number 10. What we're gonna do first is take off that sticker, and with the wrong side facing us, flip the long edge in 3/8 and 3/8, and then fold that directly in half. This will create a clean finish. Once that's done, you're gonna edge stitch all along that open edge so that it secures it shut. P.S. Don't mind the fur we were previously sewing at this machine. I totally missed that it was even there. So once it's edge stitched, this is what it'll look like. Now take both of the back pant panels labeled number 2. We are going to lay these wrong sides down, so right sides up. And looking at them now, identify the wearer's right side, so this one, and we can put the wearer's left side to the side. On the outseam, you will find a notch. This notch is where the hammer loop will go. So get your hammer loop and center it on this notch. From here, we can pin it into place and it will get closed when we close the side seam. And you can set this aside for now. Next, take out your cuff pieces. These are labeled number 8. Remove the stickers from each of the pieces. With wrong sides together, fold these directly in half. And what we're gonna do is take the right side of our front pant legs and lay it down on top with the raw edges all lining up. Sew or serge across here to secure this to the front hem of the pant. While you're here, you can also take your back pant panels and serge the bottom hems of those as well. Once attached, this is what it'll look like. Just like we did with the pocket, we are going to understitch that seam allowance towards the inside of the pant. Repeat this on both pant legs. Once sewn, it'll look like this. The next thing we're going to attach are the knee pads. These are labeled number 9. Identify the lower part of the knee pad. This is where it gets narrower. We're going to serge across, fold up 3/8, and then stitch down. This will create our clean finished edge. Repeat these steps on both of the knee pads. So once again, now that it's serged, I'm folding up that 3/8 and stitching it down in place. You can stitch this towards the edge of the serge. Once complete, this is what it'll look like. The next thing we're going to do is attach the knee pads to the front pant panels. So lay your front pant panels out right side up, and we're going to shift them down to the knee portion and find our notches located on the outseam and inseam. This top notch will align with the top of the knee pad, whereas the bottom will align with the bottom of the knee pad. We're going to take the knee pad and put it on top of the pant panel as it would present once it's sewn on. Line that up with the notches. And from here, we're going to see where that top notch is. And essentially what we're going to do is flip the knee pad now right sides together with the pant. Line up that edge with the top notches and move it slightly below at 3/8. We're now going to sew across this seam at 3/8, so it should be just below and you're sewing notch to notch. Once that's done, it'll be flipped back down with that clean finished edge. From here, you can top stitch the bottom completely down. If you want to use knee pad inserts, leave a 2-inch gap right in the middle. Repeat this process on both sides of the front of the pant panels. So here with my knee pad placed just below the notch marks, I'm sewing notch to notch at a 3/8 inch seam allowance. lining up the bottom with the notches there, and I am top stitching mine all the way down. Now that the knee pads are on, take your back pant panels and lay them right sides together with the front pant panels. The top of the back will line up with the top of the pocket on the front, and make sure that this part here lays completely flat, and we will be sewing that shut as we close the outseam. Sew all the way down the outseam. Repeat this for both legs. In doing this, you will also secure your hammer loop in place. Make sure to remove the pin as you approach the spot you are sewing down. As you approach the hem, you'll see that the back is longer than the front. What we're gonna do is flip the back right on top to the front and sew that down. Once flipped right side out, you will have a clean finished edge. Repeat this on both pant legs. Now that your outseam is closed, this is what it'll look like. The next step is to attach the thigh pocket. These are labeled number 7. First, identify the top of your pocket by finding those notches. What we're gonna do here is fold in that top 3/8, and then once that 3/8 is folded in, fold now down where the notch meets the top edge. 1/8 from the edge, top stitch down this into place. Repeat this for both of the thigh pockets. Once complete, this is what it'll look like. Our next step is to attach these pockets onto the front panel of the pant. So find those marks where the chalk is. What we're gonna do is at each edge of the pocket, we're gonna fold in 3/8. Line up the sides of the pocket with those 2 chalk marks. You're gonna sew down that 3/8 point, and then as you come around to this corner, make sure you fold the next side in, and then repeat until you've worked your way all the way around the pocket. Make sure to flatten the pant as you go around as to not create bunching between the pocket. Repeat this on both sides. Okay, so as you can see, I've folded down 3/8 on this one side and I'm working my way down. As I get to the bottom, I'm making sure I have my next 3/8 of the bottom side of the pocket rolled up, making sure your needle is fully inside your fabric and down. By doing this, you can now raise your presser foot and pivot the fabric just underneath, and then making sure to fold the rest of that 3/8 of the bottom edge. When you're sewing the bottom of this pocket, make sure that you're catching the hammer loop within. This will secure it in place. As I get to the end of this stitch line, I once again am making sure it is folded in 3/8 at the bottom there, fold it back 3/8 in at the top, pivoting and sewing all the way up. Make sure to backstitch at the beginning and end of your stitch line. Once you've repeated this on both sides of the pant, this is how the pockets and the hammer loop will look. Now, lay both of these right sides together. We are going to attach the rises. So line up the back rise with the back rise and the front rise with the front rise. This will be right sides together. Sew or serge these in place at 3/8. My serger magically turned blue, that's okay. This is the front rise, and now onto the back rise. And this is what it'll look like. Now, keeping your pant wrong side out, we are gonna close the inseam. A very important step in this process is to make sure those 2 rise seams match up when you're sewing the inseam shut. But how you're gonna do it is start at one hem. It should line up with the notch that's there. You're gonna fold up that bottom toward just like you did on the other side. This will create that clean finish. And then you're gonna start and serge all the way up around down to the bottom hem, making sure to line up those crotch points. Once you've closed the inseam, you'll see that your cuff is completely closed. I said earlier in the video for you guys to serge this point. I just didn't, and if you leave it raw, that's cool too. So essentially what we're gonna do to tack this into place is we're gonna sew a straight line from side seam to side seam. This does not need to line up with the front cuff. Once done, this is what it'll look like. For the next step, take the back waistband. This is labeled number 4 and it is only one piece. What you're gonna do is remove the sticker and on the wrong side, place the elastic within and fold the waistband over. From here, we are gonna tack in the waistband at either of the short ends and sew the 3 layers together. This will create that scrunch effect in the back waist. So I have my elastic sandwiched between the wrong sides of the waistband and I'm sewing it down at 3/8. Now stretch the elastic so it lines up with the other side, sandwich it in, and sew all 3 layers together at 3/8. Now that it is attached at either end, what we're gonna do is encase the elastic and sew this part shut at 3/8. This should not be catching the elastic, and make sure to pull the elastic in and line up those raw edges all the way through. Once enclosed, this is what the elastic will look like so far. Our next step is to, as you sew, stretch the elastic. At 1/2 inch from the folded edge, sew all along down the elastic and stretch as you go. Once you have completed that row, 1/2 inch from that stitch line, do another stitch line all the way through. After that, the back portion of your waistband is now complete and you can set that aside. Bring out the 2 front waistband pieces. These are labeled number 3. What we're gonna do now is lay those right sides together. Along the top edge of the curve, sew along at 3/8. Once this is sewn, we will understitch. So now open the waistband up and we're gonna press our seam allowance towards the left. Mine is pressed towards the right in this video. Do not do this. Press it towards the left and understitch all the way through. This is what the understitch will look like. So now that we have our front waistband attached and our back waistband, we're gonna take the back waistband and with right sides facing up, sandwich it in. So now the wrong sides are out. At either of the short edges, we're gonna attach these just like we did the elastic originally and sew each side down at 3/8. So you'll do the one side, and as you can see, once you pull it right side out, it is a finished edge. And then just repeat this to the other side. This will complete the hoop that is your waistband. Identify the notches on the front waistband and make sure these line up. About a 1/4 inch away from the raw edges, we are going to baste these two pieces together so that it makes sewing on the waistband a little bit easier. Now that that's all together, take your pants right side out and your waistband raw edges up and line up the side seam of the waistband with the side seam of the pant. From here, we are also going to line up the notches, so the center notch will line up with the center rise seam, and the back notch on the back waistband will line up with the back rise seam. Slowly sew all these together, making sure to line up the notches. Again, as you can see here, I have the notch of the center of the waistband and I'm lining it up with the rise of the front of the pant. Finding the center notch on the back waistband, stretching and pulling that elastic so it stretches to fit, and lining it up with the back rise seam. Making sure to pull the back elastic waistband as you sew. Now your waistband is attached with a clean finish. The last step we have to sew here is the tag and the label. So find the back rise of your pant. This will indicate the center. Take your content care label and fold the content care label in half and sew it to the bottom of the zero tag. Once sewn together, this is what it should look like. Going ahead and attaching it to the pant, we're going to leave the waistband scrunched so that the tag does not pull once it's relaxed. Center it on the bottom columns of that row of elastic and sew down both of the short ends of the label. Once complete, this is what it'll look like. For our very last step, make sure to press all of the seams. So anywhere anything was sewn together, make sure to press that flat. This includes side seams, inseams, cuffs, pockets, hammer loop, waistband, everything that needs to be pressed, and you can also iron out any wrinkles. Your Donna pant is now complete. Thank you for sewing with Ciro, and we will see you next time.